بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد. Inshallah, we will cover Surah Isra now. Surah Isra is a Meccan surah or Madani surah? It's a Meccan surah, right? Why do we know that? Even if you don't read the first line saying a Meccan surah, how do you know that Isra is a Meccan surah? When did Isra al-Mi'raj happen? It started from the Haram, fine. So that makes it a Meccan surah, right? Also it happens after the Am al-Huzn, after the Prophet ﷺ went through hardship, the loss of Khadija radiallahu anha and the loss of Abu Talib. And it is a Meccan surah, and it has a lot of the laws that are about to come. Right? The laws that are about to come, and some of the laws of morals, right? The principles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to establish in the society of Medina, and some of the things that are happening in Mecca, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Muslims, open their eyes. These are not, Islam, you don't need Islam to tell you that these things that are happening are wrong. So open your eyes and notice what's happening. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, a Meccan surah, the preface is a Meccan surah framed by references to children of Israel at the beginning and to Pharaoh at the end. The bulk of the surah deals with the Quran as a guidance and warning. Muhammad ﷺ and the nature of prophecy, especially the fact that he is a human being and incapable himself of producing miracles. It also warns of Iblis' promise to tempt mankind and of the fate of the disbelievers, and it gives a series of commandments. The night journey, which gives the surah its title, is mentioned in verse 1 and again in verse 60. Towards the end of the Meccan period, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the space of a single night to journey from Mecca to Jerusalem and from there to heaven and back again. Okay. We get one of the sisters. Surah Isra, verse 1.
In the name of God, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy. Glory to him who made his servant travel by night in the sacred place of worship to the farthest place of worship, whose surroundings we have blessed to show him some of our signs. He alone is the all-hearing and the all-seeing. We have also given Moses the scripture and made it a guide for the children of Israel. Entrust yourselves to no one but me, you descendants of those we carried with Noah. He was truly a grateful servant. We declared to the children of Israel in the scripture, twice he will spread corruption in the land and become highly arrogant. When the first of these warnings was fulfilled, we sent against you servants of ours with great force, and they ravaged your homes. That warning was fulfilled, but when we allowed you to prevail against your enemy, we increased your wealth and offspring and made you more numerous. Whether you do good or evil, it is to your own souls. And when the second warning was fulfilled, we sent them to shame your faces and enter the place of worship as they did the first time, and utterly destroy whatever fell into their power. Your Lord may yet have mercy on you, but if you do the same again, so shall we. We have made hell a prison for those who defy our word.
Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentioned that he took the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the way that he described him, he said his servant. Okay, he didn't say his soul. So any person that says that it was just a spiritual journey, right, they don't understand the Arabic language, because here, the people of Sunnah, they believe that the journey did take place. And the journey was the Prophet ﷺ's body and his soul together were taken on this journey. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the sacred house of worship, place of worship, the furthest place of worship. Masjid al-Harami ila al-Masjid al-Aqsa alladhi barakna hawlahu. Masjid al-Aqsa has blessed surroundings. Right, so we believe all of Bilad al-Sham, right, the Levant, Syria, Palestine, Jordan, parts of Lebanon, have all been blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why the whole Palestinian issue, it's not an Arab issue. It's not an Arab issue, it's a Muslim and Islamic issue. And everyone needs to be working actively to make sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's justice prevails, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows people to live there peace. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned that there are people, and Allah told Bani Israel many times, and here He told them that if, when you're going to be corrupt in the land and become highly arrogant, then they're going to be destroyed. Like they're going to serve in the lives with great force and ravage your homes. That warning was fulfilled. But then we allowed you to prevail against your enemy, and we increased you in wealth and offspring, and then you became arrogant again, and then you're destroyed again. So in عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا, that if this happens, if you do this again, if you become arrogant, you become oppressive, you start to take advantage of the rights of the people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy them over and over again. And He's mentioned this has happened, and this is not specific to the people of Bani Israel. Any nation that becomes arrogant, any nation that becomes oppressive, any nation that forgets about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, any nation that tries to oppress the people and asks that who's going to destroy us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "In عُدْتُمْ عُدْنَا," that if they return to these type of actions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will return the punishment on them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to do that which is right. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the next set of ayat will talk a little bit about the Quran, and I'll talk about accountability. Okay. Good.
This Quran does show the straightest way. It gives the faithful who do right the good news that they will have a great reward, and warns that we have prepared an agonizing torment for those who do not believe in the world to come. Yet man prays for harm just as he prays for good. Man is ever hasty. We made the night and the day as two signs, then darkened the night and made the daylight for seeing, for you to seek your Lord's bounty and to know how to count the years and calculate. We have explained everything in detail. We have bound each human being's destiny to his neck. On the day of resurrection, we shall bring out a record for each of them, which they will find spread wide open. Read your record. Today your own soul is enough to calculate your account. Whoever accepts guidance does so for his own good. Whoever strays does so at his own peril. No soul will bear another's burden, nor do we punish until we have sent a messenger. When we decide to destroy a town, we command those corrupted by wealth to reform, but they persist in their disobedience. Our sentence is passed, and we destroy them utterly. How many generations we have destroyed since Noah? Your Lord knows and observes the sins of His servants well enough. If anyone desires only the fleeting life, we speed up whatever we will in it, for whoever we wish. In the end, we have prepared hell for him and we wish to burn, disgraced and rejected. But if anyone desires the life to come and strives towards it as he should, as a true believer, his striving will be thanked. To both the latter and the former, we give some of your Lord's bounty. Prophet ﷺ, your Lord's bounty is not restricted. See how we have given some more than others, but the hereafter holds greater ranks and greater favors.
Alright, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the beginning of these set of verses, إِنَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يَهْدِي لِلَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ وَيُبَشِّرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ الَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ أَجْرًا كَبِيرًا. That this Quran doesn't just only guide us, it guides to the best, right? The most upright. There might be two options. There's a good option, there's a best option, or a better option. The best option, the Quran will guide to the best option. So take the Quran as your guide. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the people are hasty, man is hasty. And this is from our tabi'ah, right? We want things immediately, we want immediate gratification, we want things right away. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that we have to calm down, we have to, trust and put our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His promises. He talks about the night and the day are under His control subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. That on the day of judgment a person's book will be tied to their neck, and a person will be told, read your own book. You are enough of a judge for you because you know what you did, and everything will be recorded. And we'll talk about Surah al لا يغادر صغيرة ولا كبيرة إلا أحصاها. There's no major deed nor minor deed except that it's recorded in this book. Right? Another ayah in Mujadil, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أحصاه الله ونسوه. Allah has recorded, but people have forgotten. So sometimes we may see things in there that we completely forget about. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has it recorded and preserved. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for everything that we might have done intentionally or unintentionally, knowingly or unknowingly, in public or in private. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives all of our sins. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that no soul bears the burden of another. Right? You are responsible for yourself. You are responsible for yourself, and you will face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And the responsibilities we have towards others is just to convey the message to them. Right? As parents, as teachers, as elders, we have the responsibility to inform, to educate, and to try to guide. If people make their own choices that does not reflect our teachings, our education, or our guidance, then everyone's going to have to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and we will be rewarded for our efforts, but the results are not in our hands. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said there will be people who only want the life of this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may give it to them, but in the akhirah they have nothing. Right? The life of this world, everything that is in this world and in the hereafter belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you want to be successful in both worlds, the only way you can truly do that is by connecting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, انظر كيف فضلنا بعضهم على بعض وللآخرة أكبر درجات وأكبر تفضيلا. Even in this world, you will see that some people have been favored over others in terms of material things. But in the akhirah, there's going to be vast differences between people, and there's going to be different levels. So you want to be among those that are on the highest level in the akhirah. Now inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to mention rules, a series of commands and rules that we have to follow. Anyway, someone could just come up, inshallah, sisters. Yeah. Oh, yeah, if one of the girls, younger girls, can go up to the phone. It's 20.
Give relatives their due and the needy.
22.
Set up no other God beside God, or you will end up disgraced and forsaken. The Lord has commanded that you should worship none but Him, and that you be kind to your parents. If either or both of them reach old age with you, say no word that shows impatience with them, and do not be harsh with them, but speak to them respectfully, and lower your wing in humility towards them in kindness, and say, Lord, have mercy on them, just as they cared for me when I was little. Your Lord knows best what is in your heart. If you are good, He is most forgiving to those who return to Him. Give relatives their due, and the needy, and the travelers. Do not squander your wealth wastefully. Those who squander are the brothers of Satan, and Satan is most ungrateful to his Lord. But if, while seeking some bounty that you expect from your Lord, you turn them down, then at least speak some word of comfort to them. Do not be tight-fisted, nor so open-handed that you end up lame and overwhelmed with regret. Your Lord gives abundantly to whoever He will, and sparingly to whoever He will. He knows and observes His servants thoroughly. Do not kill your children for fear of poverty. We shall provide for them and for you. Killing them is a great sin. And do not go anywhere near adultery. It is an outrage and an evil path. Do not take life which God has made sacred, except by right. If anyone is killed wrongfully, we have given authority to the defender of his right, but he should not be excessive in taking life, for he is already aided by God. Do not go near the orphan's property, except with the best intentions, until he reaches the age of maturity. Honor your privileges, and you will be questioned about your pledges. Give full measure when you measure, and weigh with accurate scales. That is better and fairer in the end. Do not follow blindly what you do not know to be true. Ears, eyes, and heart, you will be questioned about all of these. Do not strut arrogantly about the earth. You cannot break it open, nor match the mountains in height. The evil of all these actions is hateful to your Lord. Prophet, this is some of the wisdom your Lord has revealed to you. Do not set up another God beside God, or you will be thrown into hell, blamed and rejected. What? Has your Lord favored you people with sons and taken daughters for himself from the angels? What a monstrous thing for you to say.
Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us a series of commandments. He tells us not to commit shirk, tells us to be good and obedient to our parents. And what does obedient to our parents mean? It means that we should not show impatience, right? Uff is not necessarily وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. Uff doesn't literally mean saying go and don't say uff to them. Right? Who says uff to their parents? It's that don't show them any expression, any attitude. That even like uff is just like, right? Don't even do that. Okay, this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this ayah. وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. Don't be harsh to them. Don't be rude to them. Don't show them attitude. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is in your hearts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is on your mind. Does it mean that if they tell us to do something that we have to be happy while doing it? No. Does it mean that we can show them our displeasure? No, we can't show them our displeasure. Right? You don't have to be, if they tell you, okay, like take out the garbage. You can be like, all right, and then go take it out. That's it. Okay? So you have to be careful about these things, because this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He warns us about. This is very, very serious, and if it doesn't, if we don't give proper emphasis to these things, this can be a huge, huge obstacle and barrier to us entering into paradise. We have to observe and preserve the rights of our parents and our elders. Don't be impatient with them, don't be harsh with them. And I'm saying that, what was I talking about earlier, right? As they get older, right? It's a person's tendency to become more and more impatient with them. And we have to be more and more patient with them rather than being impatient with them. Yes, it's a very, very challenging, but it is a means by which a person can be entered into the highest levels of paradise. As the Prophet ﷺ, a person came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said that after reading about all of the rewards of jihad, he wanted to go and perform jihad. So the Prophet ﷺ said, "Are your parents alive?" And the person said, "Yes." He said, "فَفِيهِ مَا جَاهِدٍ." He said, "Go and perform jihad with them," meaning to serve them is even harder than going and fighting on a battlefield, because it takes more patience, strength, determination, commitment, to not cross limits, to not show them any frustration or anger and resentment. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, not only that, right, you have to make dua for them as well. You have to make dua for them. A person who, as many of the scholars have said, a person who does not make dua for his parents, there's no goodness in that person. So as we want our parents to make dua for us, we need to make dua for our parents as well. And you're never too young to make dua for your parents, right? Don't think that, oh, when I get older, I'll make dua for my parents, or when my parents get older, I'll make dua for them. No, make dua for your parents and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless them and appreciate the favors that they have done upon you. And you won't ever truly appreciate it or recognize it. And even if you won't even come close to it until you have your own children. Even then, right, as they grow up, then even you won't fully understand it or appreciate it, but try to understand and try to come closer. And just bottom line, Allah tells you, be good to them. Not be good to them, be excellent to them. Do not show any discomfort towards them, and do not show any harshness towards them. Right? Let me give you an example. If you know that the quickest way to get to the masjid is a certain route, okay? And your dad's like, all right, take a right turn. And you know that it's faster if I go left. You know it, right? You can show them on MapQuest, you can show them on your navigation that it's faster if you go left. If you take a right, is it going to be the end of the world? Is it? But are you going to gain your father's happiness and be like, yeah, you know what, my son listened to me, my daughter listened to me? What's more important? Getting there 2 minutes faster? Or having your dad say, you know, alhamdulillah, listen to me? Do you guys understand the point I'm making here? It might seem like something trivial, right? But as you grow older, it's very, very important that you start to look at things from their perspective. I know many youth who come and they say, look, I'm good with my parents. It doesn't matter if you think you're good with to your parents. If your parents themselves think that you're not good to them, that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to take into consideration. Right? You think that, okay, look, she wants me, like, if you move away, she wants me to call her once a week, twice a week. You know, it's just too much. I have my own things to go on. No, you need to call her. You understand? I mean, the point that I'm making is that we have to see what they want and try to fulfill as much as possible and preserve their rights as well. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about not only their rights, also the rights of the relatives. Right? We don't choose these relationships. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen these relationships for us. And we have to abide by them because, as I mentioned on Friday in the khutbah and also Friday evening, that the Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-qati' la yadkhul al-jannah." A person who cuts off the family ties will not enter Jannah. Okay? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about not spending, right? Not spending, not wasting our wealth. Because the people who waste their wealth are the brothers of shaitan. That's how He described them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about fear of poverty, that if somebody comes to us and we can't give them something, then at least we should say good words. Words of comfort to them. Make dua for them. Guide them to somebody who may be able to give to them. But don't repel them. Don't be like, get away from me, I don't want to help you, and things like that. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us not to kill our children out of fear of poverty. Sometimes out of fear of poverty, they used to kill their children when they were born, especially the girls, because they said that the girl is another mouth to feed, and they're not going to be able to provide for her. At least a boy, when he grows up, he can work in the field, he can be a shepherd, and he can gain money for himself. So rather than her dying a miserable death and later, let's just kill her right now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, don't do that. Okay? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about not going close to zina. He didn't say just don't commit zina, don't even go close to it. So anything that can lead to a person doing haram is also haram. So we have to be very, very careful in our interaction with people of the opposite gender. One thing that I'll tell everyone very clearly, openly, is that it is not allowed for a man and a woman who are not mahram to be alone in a place. Right? Not only in physical space. Right? It's not allowed for a boy or a girl, teenager to be alone in physical space. That's haram. But also, like in khalwa, the word's not just physical. It's khalwa is in isolation. So if you are texting, chatting, I don't know what else you guys do these days, but anything like that, with a girl or a person of the opposite gender, it's not allowed. Even if it's school related, even if it's completely innocent, CC somebody else. Have somebody else there. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said that if a man and a woman are alone, shaitan is the third party. Right? We've seen horror situations, horrible situations, and then people are like, I don't even know how I got involved in this. Right? And we have to be very, very careful. If somebody says that, you know what, it's not going to happen to me, if you hear a situation that this happened, and you say it's not going to happen to me, first, don't say that. Because we don't know, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection, and take your own means, meaning protect yourself, but not putting yourself into a difficult position and a difficult situation. Okay? Because what's going to happen is shaitan will play with a person's mind, a person's heart, and it's very difficult, no matter how old you are, to get away from the traps of shaitan. And the Prophet ﷺ said, the thing that I fear most for you after leaving is the opposite gender. So we have to be very, very careful about this. This has led to the downfall of individuals, of nations, so we have to be very, very careful in this thing, okay? And there's no age limit. There's no age limit, especially for men. Right? Just the other day we heard about something recent, like just somebody showed me something yesterday of people in their 80s, right? So especially for the sisters, right, with your children, even if it's like, you know, somebody's older, right, don't trust them. I'm not saying don't trust them, but be careful. That's what I'm saying. Just be careful. Because there's shaitan in each and every one of us. When women get a little older, yes, the rules of hijab are a little bit less, but there's nothing like that for men. Hassan al-Basri, rahimahullah, he said he's one of the biggest scholars of the Muslim Ummah. He's from the Tabi'een. And he said that, look, I fought the Romans, I fought the Persians, I fought every group of people that was there at my time, and I've never fought anything which was stronger than my own nafs, my own desires. And he said, when did he say this? How old was he when he said this? He was 84 years old. But he was honest with himself, that this is something which is real. And I apologize for going a little bit on tangent here, but this is something important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't tell us do not commit the act of zina, but He says do not go near it. Because once someone takes that first step, it's a very slippery slope, and people will fall into it and they'll just be like, I don't even know what's going on in my life. Right? So we have to be very, very careful in regards to that. If anybody has taken these steps, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiving, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful, but you need to try to get out, you need to try to make things right and do things the right way. Okay? Another thing I will say, it's not wrong for a person to have attraction to someone from the opposite gender, but do things in the proper way. Do things in the Islamic way, a proper way, to protect